The first snowflake falls from the sky. It's a gentle signal that lets us know that winter is finally here. It's time for warm clothes and huddling by the fire with hot cocoa. This is one of our solutions to fight against the cold, but what about animals that aren't so lucky? Take freshwater turtles, for example. They can't exactly bundle up with warm clothes and power through the cold temperatures like we can. For freshwater turtles in their northern limit, such as Canada, their solution to cold winters is hibernation. Freshwater turtles in Canada will generally begin hibernation when temperatures drop in October. Some freshwater turtles, like the spotted turtle, will choose to hibernate with other turtles in communal hibernation sites. Spotted turtles will hibernate in groups as early as mid-October in marshes, swamps, and muskrat burrows. Others, such as the spiny softshell turtle, will overwinter in well-oxygenated water systems, such as large lakes, where they essentially breathe through their carapace and throat by extracting oxygen from the water and subsequently removing carbon dioxide from their bodies. The biggest challenge that freshwater turtles face when hibernating for long periods of time underwater is anoxia, or the lack of oxygen. The champion of anoxic hibernation, the painted turtle, will hibernate between October and March. When underwater, these turtles will bury themselves in mud to further escape the cold temperatures of winter. When painted turtles are buried in mud, they're trapped in an anoxic environment. At this point, these turtles have overcome the cold, but now they have to combat the lack of oxygen in the mud. So how do these painted turtles overcome anoxia? The solution that painted turtles have to combat against the lack of oxygen is metabolism suppression. By decreasing their metabolism, turtles can enter a dormant state. In this state, these turtles decrease their movement, lower their body temperature and heart rate, and they can survive on stored nutrients for food. As for the metabolic rate under anoxic conditions for painted turtles, metabolic depression drops their normal metabolic rate by 90%. When the temperature of the water is at 3 degrees, painted turtles' hearts beat once every 2 to 3 minutes and in extreme cases every 5 to 10 minutes. But metabolic depression can only do so much. This is why painted turtles have another adaptation up their sleeve. The problem with the lack of oxygen is that painted turtles will have to rely on anaerobic glycolysis to meet the minimum energy needed to survive. Anaerobic glycolysis is an inefficient metabolic pathway that occurs when oxygen is limited. The pathway starts with one glucose molecule and ends with two energy ATP molecules and lactic acid. Anaerobic glycolysis is inefficient because under normal metabolic conditions, one glucose molecule could produce up to 38 ATP molecules. So, two ATP molecules might not seem like a lot compared to 38, but it's just enough to keep the painted turtles alive. The other downside to this pathway is lactic acid buildup. If lactic acid were to be left at high concentrations, the acidity would damage the turtle's muscles, the heart being one of them. Painted turtles can combat acidity by releasing calcium and magnesium from their shell and their bones to act as a buffer to neutralize lactic acid. Throughout the winter, painted turtles will use their unique adaptations to hibernate until the arrival of spring temperatures in the month of March. When the temperature of the water is at a suitable 8 degrees Celsius, painted turtles will emerge from the mud and enter the water column. In lakes, ice typically begins to melt near the shore first, and melting continues towards the center of the lake. Having survived another winter, turtles nesting near the shore can now emerge from the water and begin basking under the sun in the spring temperatures. So, turtles may not be able to deal with winter like we do with warm hats and hot cocoa, but they definitely have a couple of tricks up their sleeves that gets them through the cold.